I'm Dee Louise, and you're listening to the Dee Louise Poetry Podcast. I decided to start this podcast as a commitment to myself. I recently discovered a love for poetry. I started off by just writing poetry. I experienced how healing it is, not just to write, but to read and share poetry. Since then, I've been looking for a way to incorporate learning more. I have now begun sharing poems on social media each month. Each month's poems and reflections have a theme that ties everything together. Today's episode discusses this month's theme. This month, it's all about how do we respond to others, especially in moments of care, tension, or pain. Do we rush to fix? Do we absorb too much? Do we know when to pause? The first poem I wrote this month is called Skipped, and it came from a moment I think many of us have lived through, when someone means well but their words move too fast, when comfort overrides listening. Sometimes the most meaningful thing isn't what you say, it's what you let someone say to you. Let me read it for you. Skipped. There is a difference between helping and being, like there is between doing and seeing. I finally spoke on how I felt. They heard, then continued to talk about themselves. They did not touch the words I had laid. No silence followed, no breath delayed. They heard and continued to talk about themselves, even though they knew it would not help. They skipped the moment, skipped the wait, and chose the comfort of escape. I hope you enjoyed that poem. I wrote that as a kind of reminder, for myself too, that sometimes our instinct to help can blur into a need to ease our own discomfort, and that there's a quiet strength in staying present, even when there's nothing to say. That idea carried into the next poem, Quiet Magic. This one looks at what care can become when it matures, when it stops trying to impress or solve, and instead just accompanies. It's softer, slower, and I think in a way it asks the same question as Skipped. What if love isn't what you do, but how you stay? So here's the poem. Quiet magic. I wonder if your powers truly work. The weight of this gift grows heavier. What problem does the power solve? It helps me guide others to evolve. If I can step inside a troubled mind and feel the pain they try to hide, I can learn the stories their wounds won't tell and offer calm until they become well. But when you can't quite make it through, you're caught inside the current too. The problem swells, the tide drags in. Neither one can seem to win. But isn't that how I heal? Is every emotion yours to feel? From where you stand, you see the storm's eye. From within, the view is warped and wide. True magic's not in feeling it all, but in knowing how to stop a fall. Be with them fully and come back intact. That is the true magic act. This poem came from a shift in how I understand love. It's not about taking on someone else's pain. Sometimes it's about being stable enough, quiet enough, to let them feel what they feel without making it about you. That kind of presence doesn't always look heroic, but it's powerful. As I was sitting with those ideas about how we respond, how we care, I found myself returning to a classic, Rudyard Kipling's If. This is the poem I chose to reflect on this month. I remember being drawn in by the first line. If you can keep your head when all above you are losing theirs. I thought there's something compelling about this tone. It praises a kind of emotional steadiness, the same kind I was trying to write about in Quiet Magic. Not loud strength, not control, but calm. The poem lists a series of challenges, each ending with "if you can," like a kind of emotional blueprint, and I admired it. But then I learned more about Kipling's life, about his support for colonialism and the values that shaped much of his work, including The White Man's Burden, which openly promoted imperialist ideals. That changed how the poem landed for me. I started to wonder, was this stoicism being praised because it led to self-mastery? Or was it a way to justify emotional distance, even complicity, in systems of harm? It was disorientating, because I'd felt something true in the poem, and now I had to hold that truth alongside the discomfort of its origin. And I think that tension mirrors the poems I've written this month. It's all about discernment, knowing when to act, when to pause, when to sit with someone, or with yourself, without trying to tidy the mess. All three pieces, Skipped, Quiet Magic, and even If, explore what it means to show up. Not just to be kind, but to be intentional, to know the difference between helping and holding, between fixing and witnessing. And that's why I wanted to share them together. Because presence isn't always loud. Sometimes the most loving thing we can do is stay. And stay grounded, while someone else finds their way. Thanks for being here, sitting with these poems, and for being part of this quiet space where we honour both connection and complexity. You've been listening to the D. Louise Poetry Podcast. I'm D. Louise. If anything in today's episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear from you. And if you're carrying something of your own, may you meet it with care, and may someone meet you in the same way. Until next time.